What's up everyone, my name is Marie, welcome to my channel and welcome to another speed build. So for today's video I am building in the world of Sulani and I'm building a little boho inspired beach shack or just a beach tiny house, but I just really like the word beach shack, so I'm calling it a beach shack. I don't know if it actually qualifies as one, but I just really like the word, so I'm going to use it for this build. And yeah, I am building in Sulani, which is something completely different than all of the fall-inspired builds that I've been doing lately. Well, actually, it's not like I've only been uploading fall-inspired builds completely. Like, I do other things, but I really have to keep myself from building everything fall themed these days because I just really like this time of year and I really love the fall. I've talked about this before, but it's my favorite time of year and I like the colors and stuff like that. And on the day that I was building this one, I was actually really in the mood to build something else fall inspired. But I was just like, you know what? No, I need to do something else. I need to do something different. And I need to just kind of keep changing it up every now and then, you know, I can't just go ahead and do all fall inspired builds for the rest of October and November. I really have to do something else as well. And that's when my Pinterest board really came in handy because I've talked about this in my last couple videos as well, but I don't know, I think it was like last week or something, I went on a Pinterest search and I found a whole bunch of miniature houses, like images of miniature houses that really inspired me, and this was actually one of them. So I really followed this one quite closely. Not exactly because it's The Sims, like you have to make some sacrifices or change some things up to be able to make it look nice. But I actually followed it quite closely and I just really like the way that it came out. I really like that balcony part upstairs, and I really like what I did with the doors as well. Like, it just looks like the doors are open. It was not like that in the reference picture. That's just something that I kind of came up with while building, but I really like the way it looks. It really makes it look like the balcony is part of the bedroom that's going to be upstairs. And yeah, I don't know, it just really makes sense for a house in Sulani because the weather is always nice and you don't really need to ever close your windows and doors. So yeah, I just really like the way the balcony with the open doors looks, and yeah, you can really see the little house come together. It's very small, not too small, like there's a proper sized kitchen, pretty spacious actually, and the living is pretty spacious as well. Like, I furnished it for 2 Sims because there is a double bed in here that is accessible from both sides. So I furnished it for 2 Sims, and for 2 Sims, it's a decent sized house. Like, it's actually really nice. There is a ladder going upstairs, no staircase or anything, because that would have taken up a lot of space. And I don't know, I just really liked the idea of having a ladder in this house. It just made sense for this little shack. So yeah, that's what I did, and it fits 2 Sims, and it's pretty decently sized. As you can see, I used a lot of windows. It's very light and bright and colorful on the inside as well. I kind of made a mixture, like I used a mixture of very modern looking things. Like, you can see that I used eco lifestyle on the exterior of the build for the wallpaper, and I also used island living wallpaper combined with that. I really like how they look together. It's like the main part of the house was kind of renovated or something, and they used like newer wood or something, or newer paneling on the wall. And then there's also a couple parts that are still a bit older and dated, and just, I don't know, I really like the look and feel of it. And I was trying to go for a boho look and feel. So I am not too familiar with that furniture style or with that decorating style basically. But I do know that boho has or tends to have a lot of plants everywhere. and a lot of colors, and also like a mixture of more modern and more dated looking furniture. So that is kind of what I went for. It's also at the same time a little bit eclectic, I think, because once we move on to the inside, you can really tell that, for example, the kitchen is very modern. I used the island living counters, so those are very modern. But then I also have like a couple of furniture pieces, like a dresser, for example, that looks a little bit more outdated or a little bit older, a little bit more worn down. And I used the Jungle Adventure mirror that also looks very worn down. So it's really just a mixture of newer and older furniture pieces, and I used a lot of colors, and I could really go to town with the hanging plants that came with Nifty Knitting, and I am always so happy whenever I have some excuse to use those hanging plants because I think they're just so pretty. I love them, and I really have to keep myself from using them in every single build because I mean, I would, and it would just be a little bit too repetitive if I used them in every single build, but I just really love them so much. But you can see that we kind of moved on to the furniture of the house. I am just decorating the front porch, and I really love those hanging plants that I used on the awning from Jungle Adventure. It's just, or not really hanging plants, but more like ivy, I suppose. And I just really like how it looks. It makes it look very lush and overgrown. And so does the landscaping. I don't know how much sense it makes to have this much landscaping on a beach lot like this. I always talk about this whenever I do a build in Sulani. But yeah, I don't know. There is landscaping all around this lot as well. So I was just kind of trying to mimic that, to mimic the surroundings as far as the landscaping goes, and I don't really care if it makes sense or not. It's The Sims. I can do whatever I want, and I really like how pretty it looks with all the greenery surrounding this little house. But here you can see that I moved on to the inside of the house. I was struggling a bit with the windows because the way I had the windows before made it so that I couldn't center the stove and the counters like underneath the windows. I mean, I could, but it would be a little bit awkward and a little bit clippy and stuff. So I just kind of moved around the window situation a little bit, and I kept it like this, and it makes sense like this. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm using those counters that have the very light blue colored countertop, and they're so pretty. I don't know if I've ever used those before. I tend to go for the more neutral colors whenever I'm using these counters because I use these counters in more modern homes usually. So, and for more modern homes, I kind of tend to go for more neutral color schemes as well. But since this house is a little bit more on the boho or eclectic side or whatever you want to call it, I was really enjoying that light blue touch on the counters. I think it's really pretty, especially combined with the yellow stove. I really love the color combination of blue and yellow. I think that goes for a lot of people. I think that is one of the color combinations that just look good together for a lot of people. But yeah, I was definitely for this house really enjoying it. It's definitely not something that I would usually do for a quote unquote normal family home. But for this house, because I was making it more colorful and stuff and a little bit more experimental, I guess, with colors, I was really, really enjoying that. And the mini fridge also was very handy for this build, really came in handy. Because I have so many windows in the kitchen that, I mean, I could have placed a regular size fridge against the wall there, but I tried that, but I didn't really like the way it looked. So I just went with a mini fridge in the end, and I think it makes sense for this small house. Especially since there's only 2 Sims living here, so I don't know, you wouldn't really need a very big fridge. Wouldn't really make any sense. Yeah, here I was trying to use a couple more of those hanging plants, but it wasn't really working. They were clipping upstairs, so I just got rid of them in the end. And I did hang up a couple of hanging plants above the fridge, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I was really enjoying using that plant that came with that big plant that came with, what's it called? Movie Hangout. Movie Hangout is the pack where, that comes with more boho looking furniture pieces. So I used a couple of items from that pack in this build as well. And I always like when I have the chance to use that plant. I did size it down because that plant is so big, like it takes up a whole lot of space. So I did have to size it down even for this house, but I really like the way it looks. And this is that dresser that I was talking about. It's from Parenthood, and I barely ever use that green color. I mean, I have used it before, I'm pretty sure, because I really like the color. But it doesn't always go with everything that I build because it's a very specific color. But for this house, I don't know, it just made sense, and it doesn't really go very well with the counters, with the kitchen counters, but that is what I like about it. That is where I was trying to be a little bit more on the eclectic side, a little bit more experimental, and I kind of tried to go for the mismatched look for this house. It just made sense to me. I think that boho, generally speaking, is a little bit more mismatched. I mean, I could be mistaken because, like I mentioned before, I'm not too familiar with the interior style, but I think it's a little bit more mismatched anyway. So yeah, that's why I was really enjoying using that dresser and that little, or very large actually, bookcase from Realm of Magic. It's such a random item in this house, like the style of that bookcase is so random, but once again, since I was trying to like mix a whole heap of different interior styles together, it somehow made sense. And also because it's a neutral color, like it's just a light timber, like a lighter wood tone. So it doesn't really, I mean, you can see it still, but it's also in a corner tucked away, so it kind of makes sense for it to be there. And here I just placed down a couple of, or an extra column, so that I have this like little space where I could hang up curtains. I thought that was really cute. I just used these sheer curtains from Parenthood so that they're not too much like in the way when you're playing in this house, so that they don't block your sight too much. But I really like it. To me, that really feels boho. Once again, I don't know if it is, but I don't know. Just to me, it feels that way. And yeah, here is the little living area. I really like the placement of this, like nearby the big sliding glass door. I think is really pretty. I used the same little chair that I used on the front porch as well, but I didn't really mind it too much because I really like that little chair. I barely ever use it, but I think it's so cute, and it comes in such cute colors as well. So I just decided to use it on the front porch as well as on the inside of the house. Maybe they just bought two at the same time. I don't know. It works. And I used that more modern looking couch that came with Island Living. I'm struggling to remember all the pack names by now. Like there's so many packs. And I struggle to remember, like every time I want to say that I used this and this from Island Living, see, I had to do it again. I really have to just stop and think for a second to remember what the name of the pack actually is. And I'm sure I mix them up quite regularly as well. For example, I tend to call Eco Lifestyle Eco Living because of Island Living, I think. I mean, it's really not interesting, but that is why sometimes I struggle to remember pack names because there's so many of them by now that it kind of becomes hard to remember, really. You can see the living area come together. I think it looks really pretty, and I used that base game bookcase that I thought really made sense in this house. I matched the wood tone of it with the floor just to kind of, I don't know, tone it down a little bit maybe, because there's a lot of different wood tones and a lot of different colors going on. So with a couple of the furniture pieces, I just really tried to tone it down a little bit, and that bookcase is an example of that. And then here, this is a tiny little bathroom. There's only one bathroom in this house, but for 2 Sims, that makes sense. I mean, 1 bathroom for 2 Sims is plenty. And what I also was really enjoying is that color of the tile on the wall combined with the darker wood tone of the flooring and the doors and stuff and the windows. By the way, I barely ever use wood flooring in bathrooms. I don't know if it's possible. I mean, it probably is, but for this house, I don't know. I just thought it made sense. I really liked the way it looked. I did make sure to place tiles in the shower part of the bathroom, but for the rest, I was really enjoying that wood accent on the floor and stuff. I don't know. I was just really enjoying it. And here you can see we moved on to the tiny little bedroom area of the house. There's a ladder going up there. And then what was actually pretty nice was that I did have the space to place a double bed that is accessible from both sides. So you can definitely have two Sims living here. I did not have to place the bed against the wall, so or with one side against the wall, if you know what I mean. So that was actually really nice. And here I was just trying to kind of like create a makeshift headboard area. I used those two shelving units from Eco Lifestyle, and I placed a plain wooden shelf or two plain wooden shelves in between, so that it kind of looks like one furniture piece, if that makes sense. I really like the way that looked. It's a little bit more on the modern side again compared to a couple other things that I used in the house, but once again, I like the combination of those, or of the different furniture items. And to kind of just stay with the whole boho theme, I placed a couple of different plants on the shelves and stuff. And yeah, I really also like this wallpaper. I think that wallpaper is from Island Living as well. It's just a very neutral wallpaper, but it's just, I never ever really used that wallpaper in any builds other than builds in Sulani, because it's such a specific wallpaper, and I don't know, I really like the texture. It's so pretty and it immediately makes the room so much more cozy. Like in my opinion, when you have this wallpaper on the wall, you barely need like anything else on the wall. Regardless, I did place a couple of decorations on the wall and stuff, but I don't know, it just immediately makes the room so much more cozy when you use this wallpaper, in my opinion. And then I used that plant from Dine Out, I think, in the bright yellow pot. I never really used that yellow pot, but once again, for this build, all the colors made sense. Like, it didn't really matter. I could just use any color that I wanted to and it would make sense, even though it doesn't really go with the other items maybe, but it doesn't really matter. So that is something that I was definitely enjoying. It's very playful and very colorful. And because those doors to the balcony are open, it really feels like this balcony is part of the bedroom, and it definitely, in my opinion at least, makes the bedroom feel a lot bigger, because it is really small, but because of this balcony, it kind of just makes it look a little bit more spacious, if you know what I mean. I don't know, I'm just rambling. Once again, by the way, I was kind of slacking with the storyline for this build again. I don't know, I couldn't really think of anything. I was definitely thinking that this house could be for a couple, and I thought that maybe it could be interesting if they used to live in San Myshuno, like they used to live in the big city and they have careers and stuff like that, and they were just working hard every single day, and then they used to go to Sulani for a vacation once a year, every single year. And then all of a sudden they were like, you know what? We're done with the city life. We don't want to do the city life anymore. It's too busy. We want to take a step back. And that's when they decided to just change around their entire life and just move to a little beach shack in Sulani. And they renovated it a little bit before they could move in, maybe. And so that's when they decided to go ahead and move to Sulani. So I thought that maybe a storyline like that would be really cute. Maybe they are in different careers now. Maybe they are dedicating their lives to saving the environment, saving sea life and wildlife and stuff like that on the island. I thought that would be really cute. Or maybe an elderly couple that is retired. That would also be really cute. But then again, there is a ladder in this house, and I don't know. I mean, elderly Sims do not have any trouble climbing up a ladder, but just to make it a little bit more realistic, I don't know if an elderly person would be really happy with climbing up and down a ladder a couple times a day. I don't know. It just didn't really make sense to me. But this house, regardless, it'd be really cute for an elderly couple. But anyway, I think that this video is pretty much done. The build is pretty much done. I was just placing a couple of extra details to the house, and then that is actually already it. So you can definitely download this house off the gallery if you want to. My username on the gallery is Simmarysims. You can also follow me on Pinterest, no, not on Pinterest, on Twitter and on Instagram. My username on there is Simmarysims as well. So I just want to say thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next build. Bye!